guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a horror film from Spain, Spanish language English subs, released in the year 2014, directed by Juanfa Andres and Esteban Raul, and this movie is called Shrew's Nest. So Shrew's Nest is set in the 1950s, Spain. You've got two sisters. The older sister is a very troubled, religious, fanatical, agoraphobic woman, and you've got her younger sister who's very innocent, but she wants to see the world. So you've got contrasting personalities that are starting to clash, because the older sister wants to control her younger sister, and if the younger sister basically disobeys the word of God, she will be punished. So things are going to become further complicated when a neighbour has fallen down the stairs and he's banging on the door in order to get some help. So the older sister answers the door. She starts to freak out a little bit, but ultimately takes in the guy, puts him into bed and starts to nurse him back to health. But during this stage of recovery, she starts to develop an obsession with this guy and starts to have feelings for him. But the problem is that those feelings are not mutual, and now the guy wants to leave, but the older sister is not going to let him leave so early. So the movie spirals down a very dark and psychological route and ultimately concludes to a very shocking climax, and I'm not going to give away. So if you want to know how the movie unfolds, please go out there and see it for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Shrew's Nest. This is the Spanish horror film that I have been waiting for so long. Now, ever since Julia's Eyes, The Orphanage, Last Circus, these Spanish films that really elevated themselves past everything else. The Wreck series, these Spanish movies that everyone was really excited about. But recently, they have been a little bit quiet, Spain, and although they're producing some decent horror movies, they really haven't elevated themselves to that point. So I was just waiting for a long time for a film to come along that would get me as excited as those other films, and Shrew's Nest is definitely that film. So if you are a fan of those said Spanish horror films, you definitely have to go and check Shrew's Nest out, because this was atmospherically brilliant. I think the movie really relies on the performance of Macarena Gomez, who plays the older sister. She is one of the best villains you will see, for the simple fact that she's not a stereotypical villain. She's not a villain that basically is just a cold-hearted killing machine. This is a villain that has a lot of mental problems. It's a movie about agoraphobia and how debilitating agoraphobia can be. It's a movie about religious fanaticism and how religious fanaticism can be destructive. And then it's also got the destructive nature of your past. I'm not going to give away what's happened to this woman, but it's shocking. So it gives you a reason as to why she's become the person that she is. So for that simple fact, the simple fact that the directors have gone into detail about this character gives her a strong sense of reality. It gives her a strong sense that this is a human being, not just a cold-hearted killing machine. And for that, it makes it even scarier, because on one stage you've got a very sweet, innocent person who you think that wouldn't be able to hurt a fly, but then the next second she flips out and all of a sudden she is this completely different person. And it's all very natural in the way that Macarena Gomez has portrayed this character. I think it was just very memorable, and the whole film really rides on her performance, and therefore, because her performance is so good, it makes everything so much better. So atmospherically, I think this was great. There was one scene in particular where this older sister was trying to go outside. Basically, her doctor told her, just take one step at a time, just see how far you can get outside your apartment. And so she's at the door and she's just really struggling to go outside. So you start to get a lot of tension. You start to bite your nails for something that you wouldn't associate with suspense, just walking out of a door. So it's giving you a lot of suspense, even when it's not in its horror set pieces. And that's why the movie just hits you so psychological. It just seeps through the screen, and you can sense the claustrophobia that the movie takes place. The whole movie takes place inside this apartment, and you feel that you are in the world of this older sister and how the torment is starting to tear her to pieces. It is just deeply unsettling, and you don't know what's going to happen around the next turn. So you don't know, her personality is just that unstable, but it comes across as a performance where it's not acted. It just feels very natural. And because it feels natural, because it's not trying too hard to scare you with jump scares, it's just a psychological brilliance. And I just think the movie, that is the biggest plus of the film, is that atmospherically it's the stuff you can't see that hits you the most. On top of that, you've also got scenes of really nasty violence. So some people might not be a fan of psychological horror, but there is horror that you can actually see that will appeal to you. So I wasn't quite prepared for how violent this movie would be. Spanish horror really isn't that violent. I think they do go for more of the suspense. The Orphanage, Julia's Eyes, those movies relied on the atmosphere, whereas this movie has atmosphere, but it is a very shocking film. So it is the shocker kind of subgenre, in that stuff happens in there that makes you cringe. and so gorehounds are going to really like this film as well. So it's got a lot in this movie for everybody. I thought that the sister bond, the bond between sisters, was very loving. I think that the innocent sister was, you know, it shows you the power of a domineering person and how that person can try to corrupt a seemingly innocent person. And I just thought the sisterly bond was very strong. It was very natural. I thought the chemistry worked very, very well. And then you've got the side character of Luis Tosa. Now, Luis Tosa is a fantastic actor. He plays the father. Now, this is where the past comes in with the present. I'm not going to tell you how they've done this, but I thought it was very smart in the way it was done, because it was giving you flashback sort of information, whereas it wasn't disturbing the continuation of the film. So some movies you've got the present day, then it goes back into a flashback, and it kind of halts the progression, it halts the suspense. But this movie intertwined past with present very well. It was very intelligent in the way it was doing, and it wasn't letting the continuity be affected. So you're continually getting more and more information, and it's intertwining the past with the present, and it seems to go on one road. It's not kind of just disturbing you with, you know, really good material, and all of a sudden you've got to go back into the backstory, and, you know, that releases tension. But this movie, the way that they've intertwined both the past and the present, it doesn't release the tension. So you're continuously on the edge of your seat, not knowing exactly what this main character is about to do. So the score was absolutely brilliant. I thought the score contributed very well into the uneasy feeling the movie has. Some movies, the score really becomes, you know, a dictation as to when you should be feeling scared or when you should be feeling a certain emotion, whereas this movie, it doesn't do that. It's very subtle, and it just creeps under your skin. Unfortunately though, although the movie is technically absolutely brilliant, I thought the continuity was great and the ending was absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately, the thing that prevents this movie from being a masterpiece was the fact that it kind of feels like you've seen this before. If you've seen the movie Misery from Stephen King, Kathy Bates, Annie Wilkes, it really reminded me of Misery, because you've got the same sort of premise where a guy's in bed, he's trying to get out, and he realises that the person caring for him is a complete lunatic. And so for that reason, although the characters are a lot more in depth than Misery, it's the same sort of formula. So you kind of think to yourself that while this movie's not ripping off Misery, it's more of a homage to Misery, you've kind of seen it before, so there is a level of predictability there. You kind of know where, although there are moments in the film you don't know what's going to happen, ultimately the premise, you know how it's going to unfold. So it does release a little bit of tension, and I thought that, yeah, although the movie doesn't feel like it's a complete rip-off, there are elements there that you have seen before, therefore it does prevent it from being the masterpiece that I was wanting it to be. But having said that, it is still a brilliant Spanish horror film, and it's a horror film that you have to go out there and see if you are a fan of this type of stuff. So Shrew's Nest is the movie I've been waiting for a very long time from Spain. Go out there and see it. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you there.